Welcome to What Off Season.
You already know what time it is. Welcome back into the What Off Season Sports Podcast, everybody. Coming on the show today, we talk all about the NBA and its return. We discuss the disrespect of Cam Newton really not being signed yet by an NFL team. Plus, I am, or rather was, convinced we weren't going to see Major League Baseball this year, but Major League Baseball and the players are saying something different. I'm still going to stick to my guns and tell you why I thought, rather, we weren't going to see baseball for the 2020 season. Of course, you can find What Off Season on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, wherever your podcasts are at. We've got all energy, only sports every single day within our content on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I just put a link tree actual description for my website. If you click there, you'll see all the platforms we're on, all of the social medias, and we have a TikTok as well, guys. Go check us out on there. I want to dive in first to the NBA season. Of course, we are all so happy the NBA is coming back. They were actually, I want to say, the first sport to announce the date of them coming back. It was a lot of back and forth, but they were finally able, to decide coming back on July 30th in Orlando. They just revealed the actual hotels that they're going to be using in Disney World. And something that's actually very interesting, I thought, is the hotels are going to be, the teams are going to be placed according to the seating, rather. So I don't know if you're going to be more towards the bottom or, more towards the top in terms of if you're the first or the eighth seed. I didn't do my research that far ahead, but I did think that was very interesting. And like I said, of course, it feels absolutely amazing to have basketball back because dead serious, all I kept thinking about was LeBron James and Kobe the whole time because, losing Kobe back in January was absolutely awful. I know we hated for all of that to happen, but I was really thinking about LeBron too because one, I feel like in a way, of course, he's carrying on Kobe's legacy, but also, he's just been going so hard this season. If you saw our debut on YouTube of the What Off Season Sports Podcast when we had Jacob Frey in the studio with us, I was just talking about how I thought LeBron James was going absolutely nuts this season. I do think it's going to be the Lakers that are crowned at the end. Running a little bit here, but it's kind of letting me segue into my next topic here. The biggest threat to the Lakers in the NBA right now, because I'm totally convinced LeBron James, with the way he's still playing late in his career at the age he's at with the Lakers, I do think he is the leader of that team 100%. The veteran leadership, just the way he can persevere and the way he's making people around him better yet again. But if you take a look at everybody in the league, without a doubt, in my mind, the number one threat to the Los Angeles Lakers, and I do think this is going to be the finals matchup, it is the Greek freak Giannis Antetokounmpo and crew and his squad of the Milwaukee Bucks showing the biggest threat to the Lakers right now. I'm going to tell you guys why. Giannis has been surging for years. He came into the league very young. He's got plenty of leadership, and now he's considered a veteran in the league. He's coming off the MVP season, and if you even look, the Bucks had the best record in the NBA. I mean, they were going absolutely insane, and I just feel like they have the energy behind them this season. I don't think Giannis is going to be stopped. Chris Middleton was still playing well, and the Bucks are just ready. They've got Mike Budenholzer, of course, as the head coach, so these guys are really surging for the title, and 100%, I'm telling you, without a doubt in my mind, it is the Milwaukee Bucks as the biggest threat to the Los Angeles Lakers. Los Angeles Lakers, Milwaukee Bucks, 2020 NBA Finals matchup. It's going to go 7 games. You heard it here first. You don't want to miss it. Segueing into our next segment here, though, guys, I wanted to talk about who I think personally, we got the NBA coming back. The Lakers are surging for the title. Like I said, the Bucks are coming through also. But I really wanted to dig into the question of the next dynasty in the NBA. Yes, I want to go ahead and talk about it. The next dynasty in the National Basketball Association. Now, some people are going to come forward and say, oh, man, you haven't even let, the Rockets get going because they're coming off the title. Well, look, Kawhi is with the Clippers. And some people are saying, Golden State could still surge for a dynasty. And I'm going to argue that here a little bit, but there are a few teams that are lined up to be the next dynasty in the NBA. And I'm going to start off with the Golden State Warriors. I don't think they're completely off the table. Of course, Steph Curry, he had the hand injury, and Golden State has been doing absolutely awful this season. But when you lose your superstar, you really lost your whole lineup, of course, besides Draymond Green. But if you look when everybody comes back, Steph Curry is going to be healthy. He might not be the same, Steph Curry. He could really not even be healthy. I could be reaching saying that, but Steph's going to be back. Klay Thompson's going to be back. Now, they're both coming off of big injuries, so definitely do expect a scaled back version of them. But at the end of the day, you still got Draymond Green, and you still have Steve Kerr as the head coach. And I remember when Steve Kerr, got hired back years ago when Golden State actually signed him to a title. That was the year after, I want to say, that Golden State lost in 7 games to the Clippers. And I said, man, I saw him as soon as they signed Steve Kerr, because I don't know if many people know, but Steve Kerr is actually 50% lifetime from the three-point line. So, 1 out of every 2 shots he puts up, it's going in. And he was able to go to Golden State. He's still there. He's still coaching the best possibly shooting team ever in NBA history. He's got the best shooter in NBA history in Steph Curry. Maybe even another top 3 or 5 shooter in Klay Thompson. Draymond Green with the defense, the leadership, They still have plenty of talent in Golden State. So I'm not going to take Golden State off the table just yet. Keep them in the realm for the next dynasty in the NBA. Now, piggybacking off my last segment when I was talking about the biggest threat to the Lakers, the second biggest threat, I feel like that could be a dynasty in the NBA, is going to be the Milwaukee Bucks 100%. Like I said, you've got Giannis, you've got Chris Middleton, you've got a squad there that has been through it before. They got eliminated early or not even early, but, they got eliminated in the playoffs last year, and a lot of people had them surging to be able to go to the finals. Of course, the Raptors made it, and the rest was history with them winning the title. But I just think Giannis is ready. The MVP season really changed him. I've seen him grow up as a player in the league. Giannis is able to shoot the 3 ball now, and the Milwaukee Bucks, easily, in my opinion, have the best rim defender, the best person within X amount of feet of the rim in the Greek Freak, Giannis Antetokounmpo. So be watching out for the Milwaukee Bucks. They are surging to become the next dynasty in the NBA. And for the last team, really going hand in hand, of course, like I said in my last segment, I can't not say the Lakers, man. I get it. LeBron's older. He's getting late in his career, 40's going to be coming up on him before we know it. I know he's still in his late 30s, still playing great, but Father Time eventually catches you. And if you just look at the Lakers straight up, they're playing lights out this season. Look at them last season when they didn't make the playoffs. Everybody was looking at them, pointing fingers. Oh, LeBron is there. Why is this not working? Well, check it out. In the offseason, they acquired a lot of people, and they've got a squad now in Los Angeles. So I really do think the Lakers really could be a dominant team for the next 5 years. And if LeBron isn't improving physically, I think, in my opinion, and anybody listening to this right now can agree with me, LeBron James improves mentally every single year. I don't care if he declines physically. LeBron James is arguably the smartest player to ever play the game of basketball, and he's easily the smartest player in the league right now. So the 3 teams I have going for the next dynasty in the NBA, like I said, Golden State is still on the table. Don't count them out. I'm still going to be looking at the Bucks, of course, and I'm going to be looking at the Lakers. Kind of crazy how we only have 1 Eastern team in here. I know I didn't include the Raptors. Look, Kawhi's gone. They weren't really anything before Kawhi got there. I don't think they're going to be much after Kawhi leaves. Yes, they're going to be in the playoffs, but they have the Sixers to go up against, and they have the Bucks also, man. The Celtics are going to be in there. So this whole 22 NBA teams battling it out for 16 playoff spots, I'm really going to enjoy that. More than anything, it's going to be great to see the NBA back, but I'm ready for these finals. I'm super ready for these finals. Yet again, I'm going to tell you, Los Angeles Lakers, Milwaukee Bucks, 2020 NBA Finals. It's going to go 7 games, and you don't want to miss it. All right, guys. So this segment here, I've been wanting to talk about this segment for a long time because obviously we all saw the decline of this player, but with the players that are getting signed now ahead of him and the circumstances that plenty of teams need, still holding on to certain quarterbacks, and you're just not looking at this guy right here, I really don't understand it. Let's dig into the fiasco of the disrespect of why Cameron Newton is not yet signed. I'm going to tell you right now, people are absolutely sleeping on this man's abilities. I mean, we remember the arm, we remember the legs. Everybody knows he has the size. If you wanted to compare him to Tebow in a way, the size was one of the best things and still is one of the best things of Cam Newton. You know, he would run straight over you just like Tebow would. You couldn't tackle him up high. He's got a fantastic arm, and we know Cam Newton can run. Look at the Auburn days. Look at the MVP season. Look at just the years he's had in the league. Cam Newton is a veteran. Do not sleep on this man's abilities. I want everyone right now, if you're listening, matter of fact, when you hear this podcast, I want everyone to go ahead and get his best days are past him. He's washed now. All those shenanigans, I want that out of your head. That is all BS. You cannot say that about a 3-time Pro Bowler, a first-team All-Pro selection, the MVP season. And I get that. Those are just some small accolades, and I really know that Cam Newton hasn't been a whole lot since the MVP season, guys. But here's where it really starts to get under my skin. You're going to sign a 35-year-old Joe Flacco who hasn't been anything since his Super Bowl season and is coming off a neck injury. A 35-year-old quarterback that has been a bum since his Super Bowl season. You're going to sign him over Cam Newton. Now, I get it. I understand. Cam's got the rough foot. He's got the rough shoulder. But if you can't see Cam Newton committing, and if you can't feel his energy from just when people talk about him and when he posts on social media, he's surging for a comeback. Cam Newton is not done. Yes, he's had a rough few years. I'll absolutely give him that. But I do not think Cam Newton is done whatsoever. And, you know, a lot of people, when they're talking about this subject, they tend not to look at another component that I'm going to bring up here in a second. But obviously, plenty of teams are concerned with the injury history. Like I said, the bad foot, the bad shoulder. He just had surgery on the shoulder. He only made it 2 games in the last NFL season. The talent decline, of course. Cam Newton isn't trash now, but the decline is obvious, and everybody can see that. And his judgment. Some people are just curious as to how he would handle certain situations. What if you didn't want Cam Newton to be your starting quarterback and you thought Cam was actually a great backup? Now, here's the thing when I was talking about judgment, and this is the perfect way to segue into the last part of this point before we spill over into our next one. What if teams never want to give Cam Newton another starting job? What if they do ask him to be a backup? Now, you got to think there, Cam Newton has always been a starter. He was a Heisman Trophy winner in college. He was a national champion in college. He's been an MVP in the NFL. He's went to the Super Bowl. Yes, he got wiped in the Super Bowl, but it was Peyton Manning. If Cam Newton is asked to be a backup, can he handle it? You know, you saw the energy drain in him when he was at the podium game after game after game seasons ago, and he just looked lifeless. He looked like he had no drive left him, no perseverance, I didn't even know if I was looking at a football player when I was looking at Cam Newton, honestly, at the podium. But I don't think Cam Newton is done 100%. I think it is extremely disrespectful that Cam Newton is not signed yet. My main point for this, guys, is how the hell are you going to sign a 35-year-old Joe Flacco who has not been anything since his Super Bowl season? And he's coming off of a neck injury. I don't understand. I 100% do not understand this whatsoever. Going into the last part of our NFL segment, though, guys, if you're just now tuning in to this podcast, I am Adam Lewis, host of What Offseason. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, wherever your podcasts are listened to at. Of course, go find us on the social media. All energy, only sports, every single day blasted on our social medias, guys. I'm going to love this one. So let's dig into some Rookie of the Year predictions. Let's go ahead and get this up front here. Defense is going to be a piece of cake. It's either going to be Chase Young or Isaiah Simmons. These two are easily the meanest defensive players you're going to find among rookies this year. You've got Chase Young resembling Julius Peppers in a nasty fashion, and then Isaiah Simmons was a steelhead for that Clemson linebacker core. And I mean, many people said Chase Young was the best player in the draft. left. And looking at his tape now, I really can't disagree with them. He's going to be able to hang with the Bosas. He's going to be able to hang with the Watts. He's going to be able to hang with Cam Jordan. I mean, he's going to be able to compete with so many great defensive ends in this league. And I really wouldn't be surprised if he broke the rookie sack record. And I'm just going to go ahead and say it now. My defensive rookie of the year prediction is Chase Young for the Washington Redskins. Now, you look into offense, and this one is going to be a little crazy. So you have quite a few candidates that you can look at. Obviously, Joe Burrow. Obviously, Tua Tagovailoa. Yes, I'm saying Tua Tagovailoa because everybody's still sleeping on him. It's a small injury that's pestering with him. I think Tua is going to be fine. Tua might not see the field this year, but I think if Tua does, if he has enough time, he could take home the AP Rookie of the Year honor for the offense. And then you look at Clyde Edwards-Helaire of the dual threat running back, in Kansas City. Kansas City has been begging for a dual threat running back and really just a running back in general, of running presence. Now you give Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid the absolute only thing they needed in Clyde Edwards-Helaire, a national championship winning running back fresh out of LSU. And then you can take a look at Justin Jefferson replacing Stephon Diggs and having Kirk Cousins. That's a big replacement there. Some people would argue, okay, there's Adam Thielen that's got to get the ball. There's Kyle Rudolph that's got to get the ball. But Justin Jefferson is a monster, and the Vikings took him being very confident in him. You got Henry Ruggs with his blazing 4.27 speed with Derek Carr in Oakland. Derek Carr obviously is let me stop myself there. He's not a fantastic quarterback. Derek Carr is a solid quarterback. The leg, obviously, Derek Carr has not been the same at all since the leg injury. But Henry Ruggs with that 4.27 speed, I mean, that's going to help any quarterback out. Now, like I said, these are just predictions. I'm not saying, obviously, not all these guys can win it, but these are the rough slate. And then I'm coming at you with the offensive rookie of the year prediction at the end. A couple more you could even look at is CeeDee Lamb, of course, with the Dallas Cowboys, but I think there's too many mouths to feed with the Dallas Cowboys. Of course, you've got Jason Witten, you've got Amari Cooper, and just really those two right there. I feel like Amari Cooper is going to be the number one receiver for sure. I want to say Michael Gallup is out of town. But I just don't see CeeDee Lamb really catching most of the workload from Dak Prescott. Now, like I said, don't get me wrong, the Cowboys have a great receiving core. But if I'm really going to take a guess here, guys, 100% the rookie of the year, in my opinion, I think will be Clyde Edwards-Helaire, because Kansas City has needed a dual threat running back. Not even a dual threat running back, like I said. Kansas City has needed a running back presence for so long now. And, they weren't able to stop the run well. They weren't able to run the ball well. But now they have a national championship winning running back in Clyde Edwards-Helaire from LSU. Everybody's seen the explosiveness, how he can catch out of the backfield, the massive potential he has to be able to translate that talent into the NFL. I think Clyde Edwards-Helaire, because he has the biggest chance to start. Of course, Joe Burrow, but Joe Burrow's not really inheriting a whole lot in Cincinnati. Yes, there is some talent there, but that offensive line is awful. Tua, it's really up in the air if he's even going to play this year. Justin Jefferson, he could not catch most of the workload. It's possible he won't catch most of the workload from Kirk Cousins, of course, because you have Adam Thielen and Kyle Rudolph, two veterans there. Henry Ruggs with Derek Carr, I'm going to pass on that one also. Like I said, it is a good trait that he runs a 4.27 40. Like I said, that'll help any quarterback out. But I just don't know if Derek Carr necessarily has the awareness to be able to recognize that Henry Ruggs will be his receiver. And I know that team needs some work as well. So 100% my offensive rookie of the year prediction for next season is going to be Clyde Edwards-Helaire, running back for the Kansas City Chiefs. He has the highest potential to start and to make most of an impact on the field. Now, like I said, guys, rounding out the show here, we're digging into Major League Baseball. So, of course, in the intro, you guys heard me saying why I am or was convinced that we were not going to see Major League Baseball this year. And, the players are okay. So, first of all, what really blew my mind is I think the players were 100% letting the owners win. The owners are being cheap. They're penny pinching. They're putting forth their proposals, and then they're walking them right back. I just really don't understand. And then the players are going to be like, okay, we're tired of playing around with you. Tell us when, tell us where. So you're going to put up this whole fight. You're going to reject all of these proposals from them. And then at the end of the day, you're going to say, all right, tell us when, tell us where. And I know some people are going to say, oh, these players need to play. They need their money. Some of these guys are, waiting to pay their mortgages within the next months on their house. I get that. I 100% understand that. But for the big players that were advocating against it, some of the players that were considering not playing because of maybe lingering injuries, and now you're going to come to possibly an agreement with 60 games when you started at 114. So much to get into here, guys. I kind of went off on a tangent there, but I'm going to start right at the very top. The sole principle of why I thought we wouldn't see baseball this year is straight up, it's a lack of leadership by the Major League Baseball commissioner, Rob Manfred. Like I said, plenty of proposals were circling baseball, and, a lot of talk about how many games are going to be played, the amount of money the players are going to be paid, if it's prorated, if they make the postseason, they're going to make this much. If they don't, they're going to make that much. And honestly, it was getting ridiculously annoying. You had so many numbers of games being thrown around. And, at the end of the day, the owners were just being really cheap. I mean, they are making millions. Matter of fact, let me correct that. Billions of dollars. They're owning these multi-million, billion-dollar businesses in their Major League Baseball teams. And you don't want to pay these guys a little bit of money because the world is going through some tough times right now. Like if you're an investor, because at the end of the day, all these owners are investors. If you're an investor, you should have money put back. You should have money that you should be ready to fall back on. And I'm not telling anybody how to live their life here, but when these owners are being cheap at the end of the day, it's going to piss people off. It's going to make sports fans like me mad because I understand that just because these players are making millions of dollars doesn't mean they're pocketing millions. When you start making that much money, you live a lifestyle that supports your income. So I know these players need to play, and I'm happy at the end of the day that we are going to see baseball. But I think number one, I really thought we wouldn't see baseball this year because it's just a lack of leadership by Rob Manfred, and I'm not going to go back on that. And if you even look, the draft was extremely downplayed. It was shortened. It was hardly talked about. I mean, of course, you heard, all the picks to the teams, the picks to the Nationals, to the Braves. If you were local, you heard what player your team got. But it's just the fact that I feel like baseball sat and they waited. And in the time that they waited, the world changed. The George Floyd happenings, all of the riots with the Black Lives Matter, and plenty of leagues, everybody was releasing statements about what was happening in the world. And I respect baseball for taking their time. But then when they want to rush at the end and then they want to possibly complain about receiving all this backlash, well, in the time that you waited, the world changed. So you really got to get ahead of the game because now you're already going to be losing money. You're going to be playing without fans. And I mean, there's so much to figure out. Even after this season, you're going to have a new CBA, the collective bargaining agreement, that's going to have to be decided on, for next season. And I thought baseball was running out of time. I really did. I think baseball is terrified of not playing, or rather they were, absolutely terrified of not playing a season. They knew it was what it was going to do for the ratings. They knew what it was going to do for the revenue in general. And, like I said, all the time they waited around, the world took so many turns. And for you to just come back and now you're throwing 60 games at the players, and the players are so fed up with you to the point where they know that you're basically going to hold them by the jock. So they're like, all right, tell us when, tell us where, and we're going to be there because we need to make this money for our family. But that is exactly why I thought we weren't going to see Major League Baseball this year, guys. That is going to wrap up today's episode of the What Offseason Sports Podcast, everyone. I loved this podcast. Arguably, this could go as one of my favorite podcasts I have ever put together for you guys. Never forget, of course, that our full episodes are available right there in your pocket. Apple Podcast, YouTube, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcasts at. Go subscribe to us, please, and thank you on all of our platforms, and be sure to write a review, comment, like, follow, give me the engagements. I will reply. I will communicate back with you guys. I promise. Throw in some topics you would like to hear on the show. If you're in a hurry, but you want to stay in the loop of the show, we've got all energy, only sports every single day on our Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Check out the link tree that I just put in the bio of those three platforms, guys. It shows all of our podcast platforms and everywhere that our sports content is being pushed out to. Our banner located on Facebook and Twitter contains all the information you need to stay in the realm of the What Offseason Sports Podcast, everybody. Be looking out for our brand new episode, of course, dropping next week as always. This is What Off Season, signing out, guys.